This video, 3.7 Equations of Lines in the Coordinate Plane, should be a review of algebra skills. But we want to make sure that we can do the geometrical kind of transitions between them and understand some key things that are important for geometry as well as algebra. So the first thing that we're going to talk about here is slope. And slope by definition, remember, is rise over run, or you can use that formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right. And the first thing we want to do, just make sure if we have pictures of lines and we know coordinate points on those lines, can we find the slopes of those lines? So if I wanted to find the slope of line A, I'm going to jump and grab a point. So I'm going to use my highlighter here to help with the counting. To go from one point to a next, I would either go up or down. In this case, I'll go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and then to the right 1, 2, 3, which tells me for line A we have a slope of up 4, 3 to the right, or a slope of 4/3. For line B, I'm going to again use that line B from this point to this point, so I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right, which would give me a slope of -4/5. Line C, I notice line C, it's kind of unique here because it's a horizontal line. So how would I move from this point to this point? I'm going to rise 0, but I'm going to run 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I looked at that slope, it would be 0 over 4, and 0 divided by anything tells me I have a slope of 0. Line D, to find its slope, I'm going to use this vertical line that says go from this point to this point, either down or up, it doesn't really matter. Okay, I know from here I'm going to rise 1, 2, but then I don't run at all. So if I rise 2 and I don't run, I know that this slope is known as an undefined slope. All right? So there are those 4 slopes we found: a positive slope, a negative slope, a 0 slope, and an undefined slope. So if I take this idea and I put it into play into writing equations of lines, the key equation to use when writing an equation of line is this one right here. All right, it's known as point slope form. In order to use point slope, I need the slope and a point. And then I can put it into the point slope form. To change from point slope form to slope intercept form, which is how most equations of lines are written, it takes a maximum of 2 steps. So starting off, let's make sure that we can all graph a line. All right, so this first one here has a y-intercept at 1, and the slope says go up 2 and 3 to the right, which means I could also go down 2 and 3 to the left, and then these points should line up. I know my line's not perfect, but it gives me a line through the coordinate plane like this. So what if they were to give me an equation of a line that's in point slope form? Well, I could, understanding point slope, I could recognize that the line has to go through the point -3, 3. I got the -3 from the x value here and the +3 from the y value here. And I know this has a slope of -2, which I would write as -2 over 1, thinking rise over run. But I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this in slope-intercept form. How do I do that? I distribute the -2. Y minus 3 equals -2x minus 6. I move the 3 over by addition, and I get y equals -2x minus 3. There we go, minus 3. All right, so I'm going to graph this line. If I graph it, I have a y-intercept at -3, and the slope says go down 2 and 1 to the right, which is the same as going up 2 and 1 to the left. Now, if I continued that pattern up to 1 to the left, up to 1 to the left. Notice where that point is located. There's that point that we found at negative 3, 3. Whoops, sorry about that. I don't know what just happened. Oh, I changed forms. There we go. That's that point negative 3, 3 that we found from point slope form. All right, so writing an equation of a line. How do I do it? First thing I want to do is I want to identify a point and the slope. I then substitute into the formula, and then in a maximum of 2 steps, I simplify it to that form. All right, so even though I could go straight to slope-intercept form here, I'm going to go ahead and take my time doing it by using point slope. All right, so remember again, point slope is that y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All right, so I've got a slope of negative 1/2. I've got a y-intercept of 2, which means the point 0, 2. I plug it in, y minus 2 equals negative 1/2 times x minus 0. I distribute, y minus 2 equals negative 1/2 x plus 0. I don't really have to write that plus 0. And then move the 2 by addition. I get y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. And that is the equation that meets this criteria. Okay? Let's try another one. What if they give me a point and a slope? Again, same idea. I'm going to say y minus 4 equals the slope, negative 3, times x minus negative 1. So I'm going to write that as plus 1. I'm going to distribute. Y minus 4 equals negative 3x minus 3. I'm going to move the 4, so I get y equals negative 3x plus 1. Okay? Now, the next question says, what's the equation of the line on the right? Okay. First thing I want to do is I want to identify a point that I want to use. I'm thinking point slope. I'm going to use the point 3, 5, and I'm going to identify it and write it down. I could use the point negative 2, negative 1. There's nothing wrong with that, and we will end up with the same equation. But now I need to figure out the slope. Now, from the slope, I could either subtract the y's on top, subtract the x's on the bottom, or I can count since they gave me a picture. So I'm going to go ahead and count. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my slope is 6/5. All right, I'm going to use this bit of information. I have y minus 5 equals 6/5 times x minus 3. From here, 2 steps, distribute. 6/5 x minus 18/5. And then I'm going to add 5. But watch how I add my 5. I'm going to add some fraction that has a denominator of 5 that would be the same as 5. Well, that's 25/5. And that leaves me with y equals 6/5 x plus 7/5. And that would be the equation of that line. Okay, last question here. What are the equations for the horizontal line and the vertical line? Now, if I have a horizontal line, remember that runs left to right, I know those are always going to be in the form y equals some number. That's a question mark there. How do I know that? Because a horizontal line has a slope of 0. A vertical line, straight up and down, is a line that has an equation of the form x equals some number. How do I know that? Because its slope is undefined. All right? If I look at the point that it goes through, I notice that we have an x value and a y value. So the equation of the horizontal line would be y equals 4. And the equation of the vertical line would be x equals 2. Hope this helps. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions.